Hello everyone. Okay, before we go into articles and all that, let's first understand this normally. See, in daily life, everything works with normal rules. Same way, in India also, we have normal rules for running the country. But sometimes things don't stay normal. Things go wrong. Situations become serious. When that happens, normal rules are not enough. And because of that, the constitution has something called emergency provisions. These emergency provisions are basically special powers, but they are not for daily use. They are kept aside like a backup option. So, the reason emergency provisions exist is very simple. When the situation becomes dangerous, the government needs extra power to control it. Let me repeat this in a very simple way. Emergency provisions are not about power, they are about protection. Now, let's talk about national emergency. National emergency is declared when the whole country is in danger. Not one city, not one state, the entire nation. This can happen because of war or because of another country attacks us or because there is serious violation inside the country. When something like this happens, the country cannot work like usual. So the center needs more control. That's why during national emergency, the center becomes very powerful and states have to follow its instructions. Some rights can be restricted, but listen carefully here. Right to life can never be taken away, no matter what the situation is. Now, let's talk about a real situation. In 1975, national emergency was declared in India. At that time, power was misused and people's freedom were affected. Because of this experience, rules were later made stricter. So remember this clearly. National emergency is very powerful. That's why it must be used very carefully. Now let's come to the state emergency, which most people know as President's rule. This is declared when a state government cannot function properly. Not the part, not when the party is weak, but when the government itself fails. So, when President's rule is imposed, the state government is removed and the President takes over the state through the governor. Let me explain this with an easy example. Suppose elections happen in a state, no party gets majority, no government can be formed. Now think for a moment. The state cannot remain without a government, right? So because of that, president's rule is imposed temporarily. That's why we always say failure of government, not failure of party. Now let's look at financial emergency. Financial emergency is declared when the country's economy is in serious trouble. Like when money management becomes very difficult. In such a situation, the center takes control of state finances. Salaries may be reduced, and states have to follow financial instructions given by the center. But here, something interesting. Even though financial emergency is written in the constitution, Our country, India, has never declared it till today. So, this emergency is like a safe option. It exists, but it has never been used. Now let's look at key points to remember in during emergency provisions. Emergency provisions are used only when the situation becomes extreme. They are not meant for normal governance. The cabinet must give an written advice because no single person should misuse the power. Courts can check emergency decisions so democracy stays protected. And most importantly, right to life can never be suspended. Emergency powers are temporary, they come and they go. They are not permanent. So, the real purpose of emergency provisions is not politics, but protecting the constitution and the country. Let me end with a very simple example. Emergency provisions are like emergency brakes in a car. You don't use them daily, but when something goes wrong, they save life. Thank you for watching.